My name is Lucy Anderson-Wood, and I am one of the founders of the International Storytelling Festival and also the World Storytelling Cafe. And the idea of the festival it grew out of the World Storytelling Cafe website. So that's actually a story in itself. It's a love story. My husband, during lockdown, had to go by himself into a separate house away from me because he thought that he might have been exposed to COVID. So for 2 weeks we were separated, and he knew that I was really, really passionate about creating a storytelling cafe in Marrakech, a physical cafe. And I was really frustrated when Morocco was closed down and we weren't able to do that at first. And so what he did, unbeknown to me, was he created this wonderful website, the worldstorytellingcafe.com, and invited John Rowe, who has been the main master storyteller throughout the website. And he in turn invited dozens and dozens and dozens of storytellers from around the world, including, of course, Marrakech, Morocco. And so when he emerged from lockdown, I'd been looking after the animals, the children, and he had created this new baby by himself. And it was really a present to me, and so that's how it began. And then from the website we realized that everybody on the website, they didn't just want to be in Zoom, they wanted to come together. And obviously the birth of storytelling really is Marrakech, and so they wanted to come to Marrakech. And so even though we were in lockdown, we started planning, because we kept thinking that Marrakech would open soon, it will open up very soon. And then it didn't, and then it said it might, and then it didn't. So we kept hoping and praying that perhaps one day we'd be able to have the festival. So we kept the date and told everybody, they booked flights, and then finally, after several changes of flights, lots and lots of people were able to come. And in collaboration with Al Munir Association and also with Zuha Kazmawi and several other, quite a few other organisations, the British Council and the British Ambassador in Rabat, we have managed to partner with so many people and put together this festival, which is better than any of my dreams that it could possibly be. Yeah, and I should say that my background is I'm a psychologist. I've been a psychologist for more than 40 years, and I've always felt passionate about the role of stories within human lives. So we think that our lives determine whether we're happy or not, but my view is that it's the other way around, that how we decide our stories, or how we tell the stories to ourselves, is what determines our lives. So there's a person called Jack Canfield, an American teacher and philanthropist, who has this equation called E plus R equals O. And the E is the event in your life. The E plus R is the reaction, your reaction to the event in life, equals O, the outcome. So one person might look at a glass that's got water in it and say, it's half empty, and be sad. Another person might look at that same glass and say, oh, it's half full. Yay, I'm so lucky. And it's the same event. It's just your reaction to that event. So it's the story that you've created around what's happening in your environment that determines, to a large extent, not fully, there are some circumstances that are not quite like that, some extreme circumstances, but generally we are the masters and mistresses of our own destiny. And I think the more that people understand that, really realise that the stories that go on inside our heads are so powerful. You know, if we hear a story, it's 20 times more powerful than if we just learn facts. That's something that a researcher in America, Jerome Bruner has found in his research. So that's why I'm interested in stories, because of the power they hold over us. And not just over us, over our families, over our communities, over our culture, and over our international connections with the world. So the motto of the World Storytelling Cafe is connecting the world story by story. And that means connection between individuals, but it also means connections between cultures. And so within the cafe, we have a Zoom link so that we can beam in people from around the world, so that Moroccan storytellers can make connections with storytellers from Finland, from Australia, from Asia, from the UK, America, anywhere. And we can help to educate people in positive messages, and hopefully also create links to international understanding. That may sound very grand, but I think every journey starts with small steps. And so I think what we're doing in the festival and in the World Storytelling Cafe is we're trying to create small steps towards a vision of having greater connections between countries, between peoples.
Well, I think in terms of understanding the history, we first have to start with the World Storytelling Cafe. So my wife, Lucy, who is a counselling psychologist and also a hypnotherapist and overall a very empathetic person, is a great believer in the healing power of story. And we were aware that there was not a storytelling venue in Marrakech, and Lucy had a dream, she had a vision to create a place for storytellers and a place for that healing and connection that story can bring. And we'd actually, we're in the process of renovating and building a dedicated storytelling cafe when the pandemic hit. We were also starting to reach out to storytellers on a global, in Marrakech, but also on a global level, because we recognised that a project like that needed global support. And we had obviously lockdown came with a lot of issues, and it came very suddenly, and it hit all of us. But what we were able to do is very quickly react to that, and using the network of storytellers that we'd made, we have riads here, small riad hotels in the Medina, and we have a really strong team of people that are normally involved in taking care of the riads and marketing the riads and so on. And I guess one of the words of the pandemic is pivot, and what we did was we pivoted our riad team to support storytelling. And so we had 6 people working full-time on a storytelling project. We created an online website using our IT people. We very quickly, it's not in itself a very original, but it's kind of stitching together different technologies that are all established. So Zoom, with YouTube, with PayPal, so that the storytellers could receive some money if people wanted to make a donation, although our ethos is that the storytelling is open to all. So we have very large, on the World Storytelling Cafe, we have very large audiences in India, in Nigeria, in other predominantly English-speaking countries where access to that kind of education is valued, and where the disposable income would be at a level that they probably would not be able to afford to make very big donations anyway. So we prioritise access above all. But there is a facility for storytellers to receive a donation, and that goes direct to their PayPal. As a matter of fact, we don't even know how much they received or whether they received something.
And are the storytelling projects only in English or English and Arabic or other languages?
We have had, I've lost count of the number of languages. So we've had storytelling in Finnish, we've had it in regional dialect from South America, we've had it in Korean. I've lost count of the number of languages that we've had storytelling in, and we really value that because storytellers love to listen to tellers in other languages, to listen to the music of the words and the cadence and see the body language. And it is nice to have then a translation, or at least of the essence, into a common language. But around this online project, which I think our big piece of luck was that very early in the pandemic we got some coverage from the BBC World Service, had a really nice article, and that vastly expanded our listenership. So we were broadcasting on a significant scale. So we've broadcast since the start of the pandemic more than 1,000 hours of really high quality storytelling. And
how many views? How many thousands or millions?
Well, we get views in many different millions, but we're multi-channel. So we broadcast on YouTube, we broadcast on Facebook, do Facebook Lives and then leave it on Facebook to watch. Vimeo is our main platform. Actually, YouTube is very limited because in a lot of schools, for example, or some employment places, YouTube is blocked. So, in fact, we had to re-register and re-record quite a large archive because we realised that schools were not able to access on the YouTube platform. So maybe I'm getting a bit technical there, but anyway, that's the case. And so there we are, the World Storytelling Cafe. There is an incredible community around the World Storytelling Cafe. So, for example, we have a kids session on Tuesday afternoon, which is 4:30 UK time. So at the moment it's 5:30 in Morocco, but on there we regularly have kids from Gaza. We have kids from the UK, of course. We have kids from Nepal. We have a lot of Indians, and they have created community. This evening, we've got a kids' story. We've got a gala dinner to celebrate the Storytelling Festival, and one of our young tellers from India, Yasname, is going to do the Friday evening story for us to cover for the other storytellers. So it's a real community.
That's great.
And one of the things that has made our festival so special is that we have 23 storytellers here from overseas, and many of them have become friends online during the pandemic and are meeting in person for the first time. And there are many things that are giving this festival energy.
Yeah.
But one of them is that reunion, or union, I should say, physical, 3D coming together of these people who have not met before in real life.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll replicate this exactly because
the idea.
Well, I think there are wonderful storytellings festivals elsewhere in the world, and I wouldn't necessarily. I think what has made this occasion unique is it's the coming together of this community, which has really got close. And I mean, there have been some real emotion with the coming together of those people. It coincided with the reopening of the borders here. We made a very late decision. We left it late, hoping that borders would open, and they did. And we literally had 8 days' notice from knowing that the festival could happen to the start of the festival. And so there's an incredible energy around the Medina anyway, and people are just so happy. Everybody in Marrakech is just happy to see some life returning. So could we recreate that particular set of energies and circumstances? Absolutely not.
Because this is the first festival after the reopening of the
We are the first significant arts or cultural event, or international arts or cultural event in Morocco since the reopening after the pandemic, and we're very proud of that. I mean, there are obviously some imperfections and some organisational challenges that we faced around that, but with goodwill on all sides, I think we're extremely proud of what we've created together.